Hello, I'm here. Super excited for this quick little book club discussion. I know that we haven't gotten to do one yet, and I think that there was likely a very good reason for that. I'm not totally sure what it was, but I just trust the divine timing of everything. So I think this is great timing. We are almost to the 100-day mark. So that's a really, really great thing with our works and our book club discussion and everything that we're doing in A Course in Miracles. So as you guys hop on, say hello. I am like so excited that people are hopping on here. And if we don't have a lot of people live or if people don't have questions, I'm going to do a quick message from the divine collective consciousnesses. And they keep saying, you know, it's kind of like the divine Christed collective consciousness, which is not just, you know, Christ as in Christianity, as we've said before. So if you're new to the group, just know that when we talk about this Christed collective consciousness, it's not just Jesus, not just Christianity, it's all of the ascended masters, archangels, Buddha, like Krishna, like everything that you can think of that would even be remotely in that higher ascended master, Yogananda. You know, there's lots and lots of them from all different faiths, all different religions. So, and same thing, there's also the divine feminine Christ consciousness, which we would call the Sophias. And there's, you know, many, many women in there. Kuan Yin, White Tara, Green Tara, White Buffalo Calf Woman. There's just many, many beings. Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, many, many, many beings in Isis, Hathor from all different parts of the world, all different collectives. They each have their own consciousnesses. It's really interesting. So as we kind of dive into things, hello, as you guys are hopping on, say hi. Just know that as I send messages through or bring messages through that are from those beings, it's not just Christianity. It's really every faith, every religion, even just spiritual practices that have no faith or religion. That's the collective consciousness. It's very high frequency beings who often were considered ascended masters or enlightened beings who are very much here to support us in our ACIM work and to help us live way more fuller and enriching lives. And so that's why we've been guided to A Course in Miracles. If you're not familiar with me, my name's Allie. I decided to put this book club together at the request of the teams. I have had some really profound shifts with A Course in Miracles. I was practicing on and off for about a year. And it's funny when I say practicing, they're saying, well, consciously, like using the book, using the workbook, right? Using the exercises. But one of the lines in A Course in Miracles that's right in the beginning is, this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. And what that means is whether or not you're actively reading A Course in Miracles, whether or not you ever pick up the text, whether or not you ever do the exercises, the Course in Miracles is all about the shift in perception from fear to love, recognizing love in yourself, in everything, understanding the joined minds, the joined collective of the world, that we're all just the one loving source, right? So if you've been getting messages like you are the one, I was for a long time and I didn't understand that. I even got messages like you're a Messiah, and I didn't understand that. But all it means is that we are our own saviors. And A Course in Miracles talks about that. It talks about you're your own loving energy. You are the one who's capable of perceiving love in yourself and in everything. You're the one. You're the one. You control that. You decide. So that's what A Course in Miracles is. So as I started the course and I read that, I was confused at first. Was anyone else confused by that line when they were like, it's a required course? You mean I have to read this shit my whole life? Like, this is the only way? Are you kidding? Is this another cult? They're like, no. What it means is that your whole entire consciousness in this lifetime is all about shifting and recognizing love. Whether or not you ever pick up our text or follow our recommendations or do the workbook exercises our way, or whether or not you talk to Jesus, whether or not you're Christian, whether or not you're Buddhist, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to God. It doesn't matter. It is a required course because that's what your whole entire lifetime is about. So you will have, and I've seen this mirrored in my own life, whether or not I'm doing certain exercises as fully as I need to, I notice that every day I have opportunities to shift in my perception from fear to love, and they will come in and help me. And sometimes it's just me. It's just me making the choice and just choosing every day. And that's why it says it's a required course, because no matter what, you're doing it. There's no wrong, and the beauty of that is there's no wrong way to do it. There's no wrong way to find miracles in your life or to find love in your life. Isn't that cool? So they're like, they're kind of going, we don't care if you read the text, but the reason the text was designed, for those of you who are a little bit newer to this, is because a lot of us don't understand how conditioned our belief systems have been, especially in the Western world. How conditioned we've been into fear, how conditioned we've been into lack, how conditioned we've been to hand our power away, how conditioned we have been to look for answers outside of ourselves, to look for love outside of ourselves, to believe that God is this being with human qualities that is outside of us. And so they're like, we're not here to tell you your beliefs are wrong, but we're here to help you consider new possibilities to open doors. And that's what A Course in Miracles does. That's why when we started the book club, I kept telling everyone, please get the workbook. If you just got the text, please go get the workbook. The workbook is essential. The text is very high frequency, but a lot of people, was anyone else like, I don't know what the fuck this says? I'm reading this, I feel like I'm reading a foreign language. I don't know. But for a lot of us, it wasn't about intellectually understanding the text. It was about feeling the vibration and making the choice to say yes to miracles, even if it meant going down a route where you weren't sure what the text really meant. It's kind of like reading Old English sometimes. Like when I was an English major in school, and we read different things like Lancelot and stuff, and I was like, this is the Old English, or like Shakespeare, and I'd be like, I can't get all of this, I can't intellectually process it. And they kept saying, stop trying to intellectually understand it. That's what the workbook sections are for, to help you reprogram your beliefs. Stop handing your power away. Stop thinking that love is outside of you. Stop thinking that God is this entity that's outside of you that's going to punish you and judge you and attack you, and really bring you home to the power within yourself to be your own salvation. And salvation simply to them means finding peace and heaven on earth, and creating that for yourself within, regardless of your circumstances. And the beauty of that is when you get into that vibration first, if you ever pay attention, who pays attention to Abraham Hicks? Does anyone pay attention to Abraham Hicks here? If you're not familiar, it's a divine channeler. She channels a collective called Abraham, and they teach about law of attraction. This course also confirms law of attraction being true, that we create the reality, that we are these aspects of God, that source is part of us, and there's parts in the text that say minds are joined. It's because we're a collective consciousness. We're constantly co-creating. Everything we make is in our image. It's in our perception, right? So when you believe that minds are joined, you understand how powerful it can be to choose peace regardless of what you're seeing or experiencing. And choosing peace often means shifting a perception from fear to love, which is a miracle. And it's that simple. So what I want to make sure, they keep saying there's no order of difficulty in miracles. There's no order of difficulty in miracles, meaning there's no one miracle that's harder to achieve than another. They're saying miracle-minded people see miracles all day, all night, all the time, because they're constantly choosing love over lack. They're constantly choosing faith over fear. They're saying when you come back home, there's no need for faith anymore, because you remember what's real and what's not. You just know truth with the capital T. You have knowledge with a capital K, which is what it's in the text as well. There's no more need for wisdom or to intellectually understand anything, because you know the truth. And if you know truth, then truth by nature means that there's no falsity. There's just the one truth. So I want to make sure that we open it up for questions for you guys, that we're not taking up so much time, because they really want to help you guys address. Are you having certain areas where you just want to share? You guys, it's your discussion today. So if you have areas where you're like, oh, this really resonated with me, I can bring you on camera if you're on an iPhone, or if you're on a phone, and you can talk back and forth on camera with me. If you want to just pop in the comments, that's fine. You can ask questions about certain things and they can answer. It's really, really totally up to you guys. So I will open it up for you. Totally, totally for you. Let me know what you guys have questions about, what you're wondering about. And if you have friends that are in the group that you'd like to tag in the comments or invite to this live stream, please do. Please do. Does anyone have anything? I want to make sure we have this opened up for everyone. I'll just kind of chill for a second. I'm waiting for stuff to come in. I don't see anything. Is there any part, okay, let me get more specific. Is there any part of the text that has been concerning you? That's been, that you're like, I just can't seem to wrap my head around this. I can't seem to understand this, or this is triggering my belief systems. I'm watching my computer and this, just in case comments are coming through in one place and not the other. Anyone? The one about being a mom. Can you be more specific? Hey, Caitlin. Hey, Asteria. Identify of a mother. You mean like, yeah, they were kind of saying about identity. Is that what you're, of motherhood balance? That's so interesting, because I've had divine feminine coming up for me a lot. That right now is a time of harvest and reaping the rewards of everything that we've been setting up. It's a time of rest and balance. A lot of people are resisting the rest, but they're like, when you rest, you manifest. So let yourselves rest. When you rest, you get into a higher vibration, because it's nurturing time. So this is a great topic. So what questions do you guys particularly have about that balance? And you can ask anything, you know, in terms of the text. You can ask anything that you want the collective to answer for you. It's totally open for you guys. Open. This is your discussion. Julie, when you said identity of a mother, what is it about that you're like, ooh, that triggered me? Was it like detaching from that identity? And if so, what about that is scary or concerning or displeasing? They're like displeasing for you. Ooh, okay. This is what just came through. So while you guys are typing, keep typing questions as they pop up for you guys. Just keep typing them in the comments and I'll come back to each of them. So this is perfect for right now. It's perfect for all times. I don't even want to say right now. Time's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Text says that too. Motherhood in our society, we're taught over and over and over that mothers are here to nurture everyone. They're here to nurture the children. They're here to grow the children. That may be true, but it is not about service to others over service to self. It's not about service to self over service to others. It's about recognizing minds are joined, and it's an and both. When you serve the self, you also serve the other. When you serve yourself and take care of yourself, nurture yourself, let yourself reap the harvest, let yourself, like, it's kind of like, I got this analogy through for a client just like a day or two ago. If you're planting seeds, right, and you're taking time to like prepare the soil and you plant the seeds and you're doing all this work, you know what I mean? But you're doing it with like a song in your heart. say. And you're like, oh, I'm so excited for this tomato garden. I'm so excited for these apple trees to grow. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait. It's going to be beautiful. And you just enjoy the nurturing process. You're watering it. You're making sure you found the perfect plot to get enough sunlight, and you found the perfect location and the perfect plants for that environment that it's in. And you're nurturing it, and you're giving words of love to the garden. You're thinking lovingly about it. You're having these high hopes and wishes and dreams for what those plants and those vegetables and those fruits are going to look like and feel like and taste like, and how you're going to use them, and how they're going to grow up to be these beautiful, luscious things. But maybe you get too attached. And so when they begin to ripen on the vine and they're ready to be picked, right? Like during when the farmers used to gauge when it's time to start harvest by the shortening of the days and the cooling of the temperatures. So maybe you start to sense that and you start to get a little afraid. Oh my gosh, well, I'm gonna have to, first of all, go through this whole process again. Secondly, I spent so much time on these and I love them so much. I don't want to pick them. I don't know. Well, I've been working so hard. Am I allowed to enjoy the fruits of my labor? Am I allowed to do that? They're saying what you appreciate appreciates. So what happens is that when you look at birth and death cycles, like the birth of a relationship or the birth of a child, whether that's a physical child or a symbolic child, a project you've been working on, like a garden or a business project or a book or a relationship, if you believe in the birth and death cycle, and the Course always talks about life being eternal, which it is, if you're looking at the birth and death cycle, you're going to fear the death. Even no matter how much you put into living that beautiful life or nurturing those children, you're going to fear the day they have to leave the home. You're going to fear the day that relationship changes form and they go off and get married, or they go off to college, you know what I mean? Or they go and they come into their own, and it's time for them to go have their own house and live in a different part of the country or get a job, and they're not reliant, you're not having to nurture them emotionally because they're ready to go fly, they're ready to go, they're ready to be picked, they're ready to go spread their seeds and till their own gardens, and grow their own have their own harvests, right? It's time. So in our projects we can do that too. Like the birth and death cycle can be scary, but once you realize that it all lives on forever, that what you're appreciating is appreciating you right back, then it's okay to receive the fruits of those labor and also detach from any specific, oh my gosh, this is the end. This is the end of this. I've wrapped up so much of my identity in this as the gardener, as the nurturer, as having to have my hands in that pot as the chef, as having to be the one tending the soil and, nurturing this child emotionally, or being there for this child, or financially supporting them, or being the one that they would crawl into bed with late at night when they had a scary dream. It's about saying, of course I'm still that person, but the form of the relationship or the way it's being expressed is just different now, right? So relationships never actually end, because the love, if everything is love, everything is source, as the Course states. And I'm right on these exercises. I'm on like 94 today. So it's literally just like recognizing, wow, love is in all of this, even if the relationship to our human perspective, when we're in ego, attaches to form and sees expression. It can be a beautiful thing. It can be a really beautiful thing in our world. But if you're attached to judgment of that form, an attachment of that form, well, when this form changes, it's going to be bad. It's an ending. I don't like those. Well, no, if you recognize eternal nature, then being a divine mother is everything is your child, not in a hierarchical sense, but everything benefits from your nurturing yourself in these processes. So they're saying the truth is a child feels an extension of you. There's something one of my coaches said to me that just cracked me into, like, this is about 2 years ago. And she said, Allison, having a baby is like having a piece of your heart walking around outside of your body. And I was like, yes, and because I was having a lot of anxiety issues with my son and his safety, and just being worried about handing him over to a nanny, or are they going to do things right? Are they going to say something to him that just breaks his spirit for the rest of his life? And they're like, you have to trust. you have to trust. You have to trust that Finn will always be okay. He's always going to be your baby. She used to say that all the time. Finn is always going to be your baby. Everything that you're co-creating in the world is mirroring back your state of consciousness. So if you have an attachment and a fear and you're like, I can't let go, they're just saying what you need to do is nurture yourself and say, why am I attached to this form of this relationship, to having the label of mother, from having the label of writer or gardener or coach, you know what I mean? Or entrepreneur or CEO or whatever it is, or pretty or young or female or male or straight or Christian or Islamic, or you know what I mean? They're saying, or Buddhist or Taoist or whatever. Why does this label mean so much to me? It's not wrong, but it's just looking at it and lovingly saying, what if I just accepted that I'm love? Then I gave that to everything else and everyone else, and I realize we're all the same. We're all the same. I'm love, you're love, I'm love, you're love, I'm love, my religion is love, your religion is love, my lack of, like I know people who literally don't believe that God exists. And I'm like, cool, that's your path. That's your loving way. I'm not going to judge your way. Cool. Tell me about that. You become really curious because you're not having the attachment to, oh my gosh, well, you're leaving the home. You're going to go get married. You're going to go write books. Oh my God, your belief systems aren't the same as mine. Oh shit. You know what I mean? So what happens is you end up detaching from those expectations and those rules and the conditions and the forms, and you realize what love actually is, which is expansive, unconditional, literally unconditional. Don't care what you say, what you think, what you do, or to whom, because that's how source energy is. And there's a lot about that. It's hidden kind of in the text. It's they're saying the text is a little bit old-timey. But it's about the energy, the frequency of the text. So that's why we're having book club discussions. So I'm glad this came up, because this is a time of nurturing the self and saying it's okay to love myself even if I didn't have a certain status or a certain identity or a certain role anymore. Would I still love myself? Of course I would still love myself. Of course I would. And even if that meant loving myself through grief, I would love myself. Even if it meant, okay, well, the gardening job's over. Now I guess I gotta be the chef. I've never been a chef before. Now I gotta cook all this stuff and enjoy it. Am I allowed? Am I allowed to do that? They're saying a lot of people are going through this reaping of the rewards right now, and especially with spiritual path, a lot of people are doing this ACIM work, or in various ways, practicing different religions, practicing loving others, practicing, maybe you're in therapy and trying to practice shifting your perception on life, like that. You're going to see the rewards of that. So right now is a time of recognizing the rewards, recognizing not the work that you've done, but the miracles that have started to unfold for you. So I hope that helps. And I know as a mother, it still is, I still have the attachments, so I get it. Yeah, motherhood balance. What is balance? Balance is the undeniable truth that unconditional love is all there is. When you know that love is all there is, you're never out of balance. You do less of, they're showing a pendulum swinging back and forth. You do less of the, oh my God, well, I'm helping everyone else. Oh my God, well, now I'm over here. Oh my God, well, I'm working. Oh my God, well, now I'm resting. And that's too much rest, and that's not enough. And they're like, or around this time of year, everyone gets enlivened, kind of awakened after a lot of people are feeling the need to rest right now. They're like, when you don't rest, you can't bring yourself to actually take the inspired, nurturing actions that co-create. Like, so if you're in creative mode, stay in creative mode if it feels good. This is very much about trusting the internal guidance system. So they keep saying, when it comes to balance, it's very much about saying, is this nurturing for me? And that can be in action or in inaction, because it's very much about allowing that being and doing to be balanced out for you, I'm guessing, and for a lot of people right now. So not judging the being state as being lazy. And that's very hard for the Western mind. And they're saying, and for the person in a physical body, that's pretty tough. Saying, like when you're in the body, you're attached to action, and you judge each other's by actions, and you judge yourselves by action. What am I accomplishing through my actions? Oh my gosh, am I being judged for my actions or my inactions? Well, yeah, of course you're being judged by others for your actions or inactions if you're judging yourself, if that's where you think your value comes from. So it's very much about understanding that unconditional love is all there is. And when you understand that, your detachment from what you do, right, it starts to take place. So you enter a state of unconditional love and grace with yourself. And then when you take action, it comes from a different place, a higher vibration, because you've allowed yourself to sink into the beingness and say, what feels nurturing? What feels fun? What feels exciting? What feels creative? Like, oh, I would love to do this. Like, oh, I think I'm going to go just take the next step. Just start the next thing. So that could be, I'm going to start a blog today. I'm just going to go paint today. Yeah, of course, that's not a monetizable activity right now, but who gives a shit? Because amazing things happen when we're in that creative energy, that creative vortex, right? I'm going to go meditate for an hour. I'm going to go for a walk in the park, even though it seems illogical because I have a business and I need to go make money. What if I started to shift my beliefs and understand that sometimes when I take a walk in the park and I do things that feel really good for me, I open up my energetic vortex and I co-create amazing experiences for myself, and I open myself up to receive amazing ideas, amazing insights, amazing downloads. They're like, you see where we're going? Like, so balance is very relative. It's very subjective to each person. But if you understand that love is all there is, the judgment leaves. So there's no balance or imbalance anymore. It's just the one state of being, which is just bliss and peace, and saying, of course I can have bliss and peace all the time. I don't have to worry about swinging too far one way, swinging too far another way. And I don't have to worry about judgment, because they're like, balance is one of those things where in a world of duality, you would see yourself as balanced or unbalanced, but it's really, am I enjoying this or am I not? And that's it. Does this feel good? Does it not? If it doesn't feel good, why am I doing it? Or how can I change my perception of it? I'm challenged with feeling I know who I am and that I'm still on earth, and what I do with my day-to-day life. I don't always feel like I am a hearing spirit, even though I know I am. I'm starting to not making any decision by myself. I have a commitment to do something and I don't hear spirit, so I don't want to be still and not do anything because spirit is not telling me what to do. What do I do with my day-to-day life? Okay, regardless of whether or not you hear spirit, hear it via channeling. And I was just talking to someone about this recently, that a lot of people experience spirit or self or source. It's just source. It's all just source. Like your team, all just source. Your soul is source. You are source. That, your husband, source. It's all the same. So when you think about I need to hear spirit, that's looking for the answers outside of yourself. You don't have to hear spirit to know what to do. You don't have to hear spirit to trust yourself. You don't have to hear spirit. Okay. So what I would offer up is saying, why can't I just trust myself to know where to go, what to do, what to say, and to whom? And that's actually A Course in Miracles, one of the exercises. And it's not about asking guides, it's about recognizing and asking that source within you. And then as you get further in the exercises, it starts to talk about recognizing that God is part of you. And they're like, pull up your lesson for today, Al, and read the example of what you're... Let me find it for you guys. Lesson 96 is what I'm on. Salvation comes from my oneself. And so it's about recognizing that the oneself is source and is you. So they were telling me to go back. Which one was it? 94? I am as God created me is 94, right? Light and joy and peace abide in me, which is 93, right? So I am that light. I am that source light. It's within me. There's no one outside of myself I have to go seek the answers from. If you're open to hearing it from guides, that's amazing. But your guides are like your own team that's coming from your consciousness. You know what I mean? It's all just source energy, and they can have so many different manifestations and so many different partnerships and collaborations and stuff. And that's amazing in our world, but at the end of the day, it's all just source energy. So this text is very much about seeking those answers and that source from within you that has the wisdom, that has the answers, and recognizing the divine, the the godliness inside of you, that you are your own powerful creator. You get to make your own decisions. You have to trust yourself, and you have to keep asking yourself. And so the other thing I'm hearing for you in particular is to do things that help you be in a vibration of love, which is, love is the only vibration, but we can perceive being in different vibrations. So in your vibrational state, if you're feeling negative and you're feeling icky and you're feeling sad, or you're feeling angry or resentful or whatever, allow yourself to get into a higher vibration without having it being attached to, well, when I get more money, or when I meet my soulmate lover, or when I lose 20 pounds, I'll be happy. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll be at peace. Then it'll all be great. They're like, no, if you can't be happy now, you will not be happy when that happens. And it will be less likely that those things will happen, right? Or the timeline will change on those things happening. So it's very much about saying, what if I allowed myself to be happy right now, through whichever ways feel good for me or work for me? And that can be positive affirmations, doing your coursework, reading a course text, reading other inspirational texts. Like I picked up the Bhagavad Gita recently, and I'm finding amazing similarities between the Bhagavad Gita, the Shack, The Alchemist, A Course in Miracles, the Tao Te Ching. I took religion, religious studies classes, religion and sexuality class, specifically in college. Rumi, I'm seeing amazing synchronicities between all these texts. So the Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to start reading the Upanishads as well, because I'm getting guided to that. There's synchronicities between them all. So it's really about, finding what inspirational texts, what meditations, what guided meditations, what songs, what music. We're vibrational, so music, songs, Om chanting, going to a meditation center, going to a spiritual center where they do chanting or singing. Even if you go to church and they're singing, I used to feel, I don't particularly agree. Personally, I don't resonate with a lot of the teachings in the church or the way they're taught, but the singing, I freaking loved the singing. You know why that is? Because it's vibrational. It affects your vibration. So music, tones, chanting, listening to guided meditation tracks, anything that works for you. Going outside is very important for people right now with the energetic shifts happening. Go outside. There's a lot of not just energetic shifts, but light frequency. It makes a big difference. We've been taught to fear the sun. This is a put on some sunscreen and go and get some freaking light. Natural light outside. It's really important. So let yourself have those experiences and find out what you can do to get into a higher vibration or feel good. All that means is feel good without having it attached to an outcome and without judging, well, I can't hear my spirit guides. Well, not everyone can hear its spirit guides. Everyone is capable of it. Totally. Everyone can hear the voice of, God, source, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, whatever you call it, the collective consciousnesses. You can hear anything. You can speak to anything. You can receive guidance from anything. But it's really, don't judge the fact if you're not having that experience yet. You might be feeling love. And how is that not as good as, you might feel love when you think about doing a certain thing, or when you think about a certain person, or you think about a certain experience, or when you think about a creative project that you're going to start doing. It's really if you feel love, how is that not as good? You know what I mean? How is that not telling you as much? So if it feels good, you have permission to do it. I feel like there's some permission needed. I'm caring for my mom and she has her agenda. How do I stop and listen, still help her meet her agenda? You do not need to meet anyone's agenda. You're not here to meet other people's needs. You're here to lovingly and unconditionally love and hold space for them to have their own journey. Ask her questions more often about how she can meet her own needs. If she wants something for herself, ask her about it. So for example, when I was in Chicago this last week, I was at my parents' house. We were visiting them. And my mom one day, I had told her I had to work. And so I was on my phone a little bit. I was like, I'm just going to answer some messages, but I wanted to stay downstairs around everyone. And she kept saying, Allison, put your phone down. And I said, why do you care? And I wasn't saying it like, why do you care? I was just but I was really genuinely going, why do you care that I'm on my phone? You know what I mean? And sometimes we have to ask questions to help other people understand, why do I care? Why is that bothering me? Why am I judging that? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's really like just about like holding the space for them and just sitting there with them, and when they're talking about their agenda or their needs, and just going, oh, you want that? Well, I really want that for you too. You know, or tell me more about that. It doesn't mean you have to get on board with what they want. It just means that you're like, I see you and I hear you and I love you unconditionally, and that's that. You know what I mean? Because we don't have, like, we can't always control everyone else's journeys. We have to trust. Trust. This is so beautiful. Oh, thank you, Caitlin. And they're going like this. Thanks, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I was talking to my 5-year-old about him going to college last night. He was asking precious presents. Yes. And you know, I thought about that with my son too, who's only 4, like, you know, saving for college and stuff. And they were like, Allison, what if you saved for anything he decides he ever wants to do? What if you helped him save for anything he ever wants to do? And I was like, oh, because I was like, I've been raised to, you go get the specific college savings account, you go set money aside for college, you go do this, and then you go to college. And I was like, hang on. But what if Finn doesn't want to go to college? What if he wants to go to cooking school? What if he wants to take a gap year and he goes and has the school of life? Is that not just as good? I know tons of actually very extremely successful entrepreneurs who didn't go to college. And I have my own beliefs about why that is. And they're going, it's because they're not indoctrinated into a lot of belief systems and seeking answers outside of themselves. They went and had life experiences, but they had certain beliefs in them that allowed them to go do that and learn from that and believe they could still create the life of their dreams. It doesn't mean you can't do that with college or can't do that if you've been in education. It's all the kid's choice. So they're saying, why not set some things up for him where he is allowed or she is allowed to make choices? You know what I mean? Where the child is allowed to, wow, if I want to have this experience, what would I like to do energetically, vibrationally, in terms of manifestation? How would I like to study for it? How would I like to research it? How would I like to start to call it in without attaching to it? And what would I like to do to be happy in the moment without worrying and future projecting about, oh my God, I got to go to college and get this major and I'm 10. So it's kind of like that. Like, it's like, you know, helping it as an and both, and trusting them to have their journey, trusting them to have their process. Because that's the unconditional love. They keep saying that's the unconditional love. Saying you're going to be okay no matter what. Let's do it. Tell me if you'd like my help. Let's make it an and both. Tell me about your ideas. Tell me about your dreams. Tell me about your wishes, and we'll talk about it. And, you know, we'll try and find a way for different experiences to come about. Oh, I'm so glad you're feeling this. Yay, outside. I went outside this morning too. I was like, I gotta go out for a walk this morning. I love my morning walks. Yes, that's awesome. When I'm in a state of fear, Spirit comes in and says to me, you're perfect. You're right on track. You're supposed to do that. Yay, perfect. Oh, good. I get it now. This is perfect. I feel a new level of trust of myself. And the 20 pounds comment, I was using exactly that amount as a guide of, oh, when I lose the weight, I will see that as achieving the goal. Thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh. I was wondering why 20 came up specifically. So I used to have a lot of body stuff too, and I still have stuff come up sometimes, but I used to have really like intense eating disorders when I was younger, and exercise disorders, because I had really bad anxiety. And I also was brought up in an environment where we were told that our worth came through our performance. Like, I was a competitive swimmer for years and years and years, and also a competitive dancer. 2 of the sports where you wear the least clothing, right? Like, like you're like out wearing clothes basically all the time. So I had a lot of stuff around that healed actually after I became a mother, after I got pregnant, because I finally got to stop exercising like a crazy person, and I stopped looking at my body as this thing to be judged, and I started paying attention to eating as a nutritional source, not as a weight loss thing. So the judgment started to remove itself, but then I got into I had postpartum anxiety pretty bad and stuff like that, and then my spiritual journey unfolded. big time. And I started to trust, and I started to let go of my body being the thing that I was judging myself on. And that's why there's stuff in the text. You are not your body. You are not the body, right? That the body is part of the ego's playground. The body, it's not sin, it's not bad, it's not negative. It's just created from separation, from our perception that we're separated from source, and therefore separated from the world around us, which is also created by our perception of separation, right? Because otherwise they're like, source would have you realize that you are separate from nothing. So every once in a while I'll get this vision in my head, and I'll be, sitting out in nature or something like that, or I'll be sitting in my office and I'll see the whole room as energy, just giant, beautiful pink and like yellows and oranges, energy clouds with like sparkles and whites and yellows. It's just beautiful. And then I see it and I look down at myself and I realize I'm part of it. I'm not separate from anything. It's just this beautiful space. Or I see myself in a white light space, and that's what it is to source. Source is like, there's no, like the couch is in a different energy than you are. It's not separate than you, right? It's like changing that shift in perception can help you realize your oneness. And that's a lot of what the Course actually is leading everyone to, is the oneness. Like I was saying, like the realizing that minds are joined. And that any peace you give yourself, any grace you give yourself, like I am not my body, I'm allowed to want to nurture my body and feel good in my body without judging or attacking it. And saying, I'm not going to feel good until I lose 20 pounds. I'm going to feel good now. And ironically, that often helps people actually lose weight, because weight is often carried because of emotional, mental stuff. For sure. Because it's carried, it's like energetic holding, like holding on to things for safety and security. What would happen if I lost the weight? Oh my God, I'd have to be happy. I'd have to go date. I'd have to go get in a bikini, and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? There's all this stuff. I'd have to stop hiding. People would have to get to know me. And they're like, if you guys realize that none of your thoughts are private and your minds are joined and everyone already knows you and loves you, you wouldn't fear any of that stuff. You would just let go and the weight would release. And it wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be about fad dieting or working out so much or punishing yourself or judging your body. It would be a very loving experience and process about just doing what you enjoy. So like they're saying, if you're in this mode, don't judge that you've been judging. That's really important. Like, don't judge that you're judging yourself, right? Because that just makes it worse. Just say, oh, isn't that curious? Was that thought positive? Does that thought feel good? Does it feel good to think about myself this way? No. They're like, that's a good place to start. And then they're saying, continue your coursework. Continue your coursework. And if you guys want to talk about more, I do a lot of mindset and emotional coaching with people mixed with the spiritual coaching. So if you guys want support around things, let me know, because I have single sessions. I do Voxer contracts where you guys can reach out as much as you want on Voxer and get insight, like when you're in the moment of having like I have something going on right now. I do that, and I do it for business owners as well. And I do a lot of like spiritual coaching. Does anyone else in here do like spiritual coaching or spiritual mentorship? Caitlin, you do, right? Something along those lines. And Julie will be soon, I think, if she's not yet. I've shifted from darkness into neutrality, but rarely do I find myself in a state of joy. Something broke when my daughter died, and I'm trying to find my inner peace and joy again. They're saying less trying, more allowing. And she would not wish for you to remain in that state. Like, it's not like there's a judgment. She's not judging it. She's just, they keep saying practice the art of allowing. Like, I don't have to try to do this. I can allow this, knowing that grace is given and that this is what my child and my inner being want for me. They don't have any judgment of it not happening. And part of what I really like about the Course in Miracles is that it's about shifting our perception of what's real and what's not. I found so much frustration and yet so much peace when the Course started talking about the fact that light is all there is and we only misperceive it, meaning we are actually in a perpetual state of love and trust and peace and bliss. There actually is no vibrational difference. It's all just the one source love vibration. It's all high vibration. We're there all the time. we just misjudge it. We misread it. That frustrated the fuck out of me the first time I heard it because my mind was trying to intellectualize it. But once I started to practice the art of accepting it and allowing it, oh, I'm just misperceiving how I'm feeling right now. I'm just misperceiving the situation. I'm misperceiving myself. And they keep saying, I'm meeting you as if for the first time. To have that experience of presence with yourself, I'm meeting myself as if for the first time. Hello, you radiant being. And so it's very much about that art of allowing. They're giving me other Byron Katie stuff. If you guys haven't read Byron Katie, she's a course teacher, because I'm pretty sure she is. They're like, yeah, she's read the course. Her stuff resonates so strongly with this. I've never read her stuff, but I see her quotes, and I'm like, you practice A Course in Miracles, I can tell. And it resonates really strongly with me. So that would be great, I think, for you. She has these 4 questions called the work that I've heard about and that they're reminding me of. Loving what is. They keep saying loving what is. Is that one of her books? Loving what is would maybe be a good one for you if you're open to it. So they're just saying don't judge that you don't feel it yet, but also realize that there may be moments where you are feeling it and you just don't realize it. Cool? I know, Caitlin, she's been showing up for me. And I just had a reminder on my phone. I do my reminders, affirmations in my coursework. I appreciate loving everyone the same. Like appreciating myself for loving everyone the same. What if you guys appreciated yourselves for recognizing the love within you? What if you guys appreciated yourself for loving what is, right? Like what if you appreciated that you have miracles and shifts happening? What you appreciate appreciates. So then you just create more of it because you're seeing all of it and it's coming back to you and it's mirroring back. I've seen this in my own life too, where stuff just gets good when you get into that energy. Does anyone have any more questions about the text? I've got about 10 minutes. I've got a call at 11. Yes, allowing, not trying. Abraham Hicks talks about that too. It's the art of allowing. If you're trying, that means you're trying to get to a feeling that you're not recognizing can be had before you go to the trying. And if you have the feeling beforehand, you don't have to try, the answers come or the things line up. And sometimes it feels illogical. Like Gabby Bernstein has talked about, you know, I didn't know why I was working on this book and I was really stuck. I think this was in Spirit Junkie, or maybe it was The Universe Has Your Back. She was one of the first course teachers I ever came across. I didn't know about the Course in Miracles till I found her. And I really liked Spirit Junkie because I liked her talking about her anxiety, and I liked her exercises. So she's a good like teacher of the course who keeps it super light, like really light. So anyway, so she said there was this one day where she went to the coffee shop. Like she just heard this voice that was like, go to the coffee shop, close your laptop, go to the coffee shop. And it seemed illogical because she's working on a book and, you know, she was like, what's going to be at the coffee shop? But she was like, you know what, fine. And so she went and she ended up running into an old friend, and they ended up talking for hours, which was the most joyful, pleasant experience she could have ever possibly had at that point. And if she hadn't gone, she wouldn't have seen that old friend. And I think sometimes we think, well, how's that going to help me with my book? Well, you being in that vibration of allowing actually puts you in a higher vibration. You have amazing experiences, even if they seem unrelated. If you recognize that this is all just a vibrational world, it is all one and the same. Of course, those things like going and playing soccer for an hour with your kids, if it makes you perfectly joyful and happy, or finger painting and having a food fight in the kitchen, if that makes you wildly freaking happy, of course that's going to impact your work. Of course that's going to come into your play. Of course that's going to attract things to you because you're in a higher vibration, because you're allowing yourself joy and play and creativity and not making it all about trying. You know what I mean? It's allowing. And so then the perfect experiences just unfold. Like, as an example, I went to California about 2 weeks ago. I didn't know why I was going. The team just said, book your fucking tickets and go. And I knew that I was going to have some meetings maybe planned on stuff. I didn't know where I was going to stay until 3 days before I left. And things just started unfolding while I was there. Like I got woken up in the morning and told, get up, we're gonna go hiking. Go down, get ready, go get your coffee, get your oils on, do whatever. And I was wearing peppermint and lavender all week. That's what they had me using. And I walked down and got coffee. They're like, now get an Uber and go to this hiking trail. Like, it was like they're picking everything out. And then I was downloading the whole time I was on the trail, and I literally felt energy up and down my spine and coming out. And I was just so joyful. And the views were amazing. I'll have to post some pictures. It was just pure beauty. And I was like, I think I came for this. Like, literally to be here and to enjoy this. And it was just the most beautiful, like, and I remember them saying, I wish you could see your energy right now. When you don't have this plan of, oh, it's got to go like this and this and this and this and this, they're like, your ego cannot plan anything that spirit knows. Your ego is not, like, cannot even touch what spirit knows, but your ego spends time judging and separating and creating rules and conditions. Well, in order to have this launch go well, I got to go do. I got to do this plan. You know how many launches don't freaking work, you guys, behind the scenes? It's insane. It's insane. I've been in masterminds and heard people talk about it. And so like when you're like booking trips and you're thinking, I have to have this, this, and this in place, a lot of times, no, you don't. I had like very little, like I had so much left up to chance on that trip. Everything popped into place. The perfect place to stay was gorgeous. She had sage and all this, and she had all this Eastern religion stuff. You know, the Bhagavad Gita book that I ended up buying. She was like, "Oh yeah, sure, read it while you're here." She had sages and crystals and just meditation space, and like it was the most beautiful, cute place, perfectly my style. And I was like, I could live here. I could live here. And she was right by Santa Monica, like, but between Santa Monica and the beach. It was like the perfect location for me. And I surrendered even when I was booking the place. I didn't know that that's the area I was supposed to be in. You know what I mean? But I just surrendered, and when I picked, I just trusted that download that came in, and I ended up in the perfect place, and it was the perfect trip, and it was blissed out, and my plane flights were $200 and my hair care company paid for them. I mean, it was like everything just worked out, and even the money for, you know, renting that Airbnb, that came in too, in amazing ways that I was like, universe, just show up. I don't know how it's gonna happen. It just comes in. So you have to be in the vibration and in the art of allowing. And they're saying, and this is where in the Course in Miracles it talks about the ego, the little self, and the source self, the spirit self that knows, that self that just knows. And it's like, no, my truth is just, it's the one truth. If you're in a place of fear, lack, or not allowing, or resistance, that's just your ego, and that's not real. So it's like, you know, allowing yourself to give yourself what the text calls salvation, which is recognizing peace and love and joy abide in me, because source is in me. It's not separate from me. It's not in some goals I have. It's not in some house I have to go buy. It's not in some relationship I have to go have. It is not in my child. You know, it's not going to be found in, oh, my child has to be this certain thing to me. Of course, I mean, source is everywhere. It's in everything and everyone, but it's in you too. And if it's in you and source is not separate from itself, then it is everything. So there can be no illusion when you see through what Gabby calls the lens of love, you know? So it's very much about not judging and allowing things to just flow and just go with the flow, which is kind of what we did on this little fun chat. So thank you guys for hopping on. I don't see any more, yes, blissed out trip. It was amazing. I don't see anything else. So if you guys are curious, I have the Infinitely Wise Women program is opening again soon. It's very much about open to receiving messages from spirit and source. So channeling, co-creating. It's about manifestations. It's about getting into creative alignment, because it's all receiving energy. It's all linked. It's all the same. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The girls who were in it last time are going to be in it again. They're all coming back. It was a really fun trip through the whole thing last time. The teams come in and teach, so you get to learn from spirit, which is amazing. And then you guys get to have the community environment of learning how to connect with spirit, but most of all, to connect with your own inner source. Trust your own inner wisdom, trust your intuition. I find that a lot of people who are you know, opening up and stuff are going, well, I know I have intuition and I've had moments of having intuition. I'm like, no, you have intuition all the time. And your intuition is not better than this person's intuition. It's all the same. It's just, am I trusting it and acting on it, or am I second guessing it, right? So it's very much about trusting that source within, finding that internal high vibration within, teaching yourself, working with everyone in there. We're gonna have more group activity in there. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun. So if you're interested, that's gonna open soon. There's a wait list getting started. And then, like I said, I also have Voxer packages, and I also have VIP days and all sorts of fun things, one-on-one sessions. So let me know if you guys are curious, you need any help, and you have questions. I'm around to chat, okay? And so a lot of it can be found on intuitivesoulcollective.com. That is the site. We are going to have more teachers and mentors coming in there. We're going to have like a whole people section, because it's about the collective. So it's not just like my website, you know. So we're going to have a couple different people getting profiles in there, putting their YouTubes on there, offering their programs and services on there. It's going to be really cool. So check out what's on there right now. I've got to hop off, and thank you guys all so much for coming. This was really fun. If you watch the replay and you have questions, pop them in, and I'll come back and answer them later. And I'm also thinking I want to do one of these like once a month. But as you guys have questions as you're going through the text or the workbook exercises, make sure you're popping them in so that we can come back and answer you guys, and the teams can come help you guide yourself through it. They're like, or you can always ask your own inner beings, your own inner source for the answers. All right, okay. Bye guys, thank you so much.